thinks Eala is finally getting what she's worked toward since she first picked up a racket as a kid. A main draw appearance at the Australian Open without needing a wildcard or going through qualifiers. The 20-year-old Filipino sensation earned her spot at Melbourne Park the hard way, climbing from world number 147 to 49 over the past 12 months and securing automatic entry into the first Grand Slam of 2026. After her semi-final run at the ASB Classic in Auckland pushed her inside the top 50, Eala now stands just days away from competing on the same courts where she won the junior girls doubles title back in 2020. The Australian Open holds a special place in her heart, and she explained exactly why this tournament means more to her than any other slam on the calendar. Speaking in a video alongside Rafael Nadal for Kia, Eala opened up about her connection to Melbourne and the memories that make this tournament different from Wimbledon, the US Open, or Roland Garros. The Australian Open was probably one of my first junior Grand Slam, and for me to be able to win the junior girls doubles with a good friend of mine was such a treasured memory, she revealed, referring to her 2020 triumph with Indonesia's Priska Madeline Nugroho. That victory came when Eala was just 14 years old, competing on the same courts where she'll now face professional opponents ranked among the world's best. Winning at that level as a teenager planted seeds of belief that she belonged on these stages, and now 6 years later, she's returning as one of the top 50 players on the planet. What struck Eala most about the Australian Open wasn't just the tennis or the competition, it was the atmosphere, the vibe, the feeling of being somewhere that celebrates the sport in a unique way. Actually, what makes it special for me is the energy. I feel like people have so much fun there. There's so much diversity. It's sort of my home slam, and I have a lot of good memories there. Calling it her home slam despite being thousands of miles from the Philippines speaks to how welcome she's felt in Melbourne over the years. The diversity she mentions reflects the Australian Open's position as the most multicultural Grand Slam, drawing players and fans from across Asia, Europe, and the Americas to kick off the tennis season each January. That diversity matters to Eala because it creates an environment where Asian players don't feel like outsiders competing in a Western-dominated sport. The Australian Open draws massive crowds from China, Japan, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines, creating pockets of home court atmosphere for players who rarely get that support at other slams. When Eala steps onto court in Melbourne, she'll hear Filipino fans chanting her name just like they did in Auckland, waving flags and creating the kind of energy that carried her through that marathon victory over Donna Vekic and her semi-final battle against Xinyu Wang. The road to this moment has been anything but straightforward. Eala attempted to make the Australian Open main draw in 2024 and 2025, falling short both times and having to watch from the sidelines while other players competed under the bright lights of Rod Laver Arena and Margaret Court Arena. Those failures stung, but they also motivated her to work harder, improve her ranking, and ensure she'd never again have to rely on wildcards or qualifying rounds to compete at the majors. Her breakout 2025 season, which included reaching the Miami Open semifinals by defeating Iga Swiatek, Madison Keys, and Jelena Ostapenko, plus winning a WTA 125 title in Guadalajara, changed everything. She climbed nearly 100 ranking spots and earned the automatic entry she'd been chasing. The Australian Open draw will be made on January 15th, revealing who Eala faces in the first round. That opponent could be anyone ranked between 1 and 64, depending on how the seedings fall, which means Eala might draw a top seed like Aryna Sabalenka or Coco Gauff in round 1, or she might get a more favorable matchup against someone ranked in the 40s or 50s. The uncertainty adds to the excitement she won't know until 3 days before the tournament begins, whether she's walking into a manageable first-round match or facing one of the sport's biggest names right out of the gate. Before Melbourne, Eala has business to handle at the Kuyong Classic, a 3-day exhibition event that serves as final preparation for many Australian Open competitors. She plays Donna Vekic on Tuesday, January 13th, in what will be their second meeting in less than 2 weeks. Eala beat Vekic 4-6, 6-4, 6-4 in a 2-hour 40-minute marathon at the ASB Classic, coming from a set-down against the Olympic silver medalist to complete one of the biggest wins of her career. Vekic will be hungry for revenge, and playing her again before the Australian Open gives Eala a chance to test whether she can repeat that performance, or if Vekic adjusts her game plan to neutralize the Filipinos' power. The Kuyong Classic field includes serious star power beyond just Vekic. Alexander Zverev, the world number 2 and 2-time Grand Slam finalist, headlines the men's draw. Nick Kyrgios, the controversial Australian who reached the 2022 Wimbledon final, makes his return to competitive tennis after injury struggles. Alexander Bublik, known for his unpredictable style and underhand serves, adds entertainment value. For Eala, competing alongside these names at a prestigious exhibition shows how far she's risen. She's no longer fighting for recognition at smaller tournaments, but sharing the same courts as the sport's biggest personalities just days before a major. What makes Eala's situation even more impressive is that she enters the Kuyong Classic as the top-ranked player in the women's field. That's not a typo. Alex Eala, at 20 years old and ranked 49 in the world, is the highest-ranked woman competing in this exhibition. 4-time Grand Slam champion Daniela Hantuchova also appears in the field, but she retired in 2017 and competes now for nostalgia and entertainment rather than ranking points. Eala being the top seed speaks to how quickly she's ascended and how many established players she's already surpassed on the rankings list. The tennis community has taken notice. Legendary coach Mats Wilander, who won 3 French Opens and reached world number 1 during his playing days, said about Eala, "With Alexandra Eala, we're talking about someone who has hands given by God." That's extraordinary praise from someone who understands championship tennis at the highest level. Tony Nadal, who coached his nephew Rafael to 14 Grand Slam titles and worked with Eala at the Rafa Nadal Academy, believes once she gets her game right, she could be among the best in the world. When coaches of that caliber speak this highly of a young player, the tennis world pays attention. Fans and analysts debate how high Eala's ceiling might be. Some believe she's top 5 material dynamic, hungry, with a game built around aggressive baseline play and improving court coverage. Others point out that her serve remains her biggest weakness, lacking the power and consistency needed to dominate at the highest levels. A few note that very few women at the top of the game aren't power hitters, and Eala hasn't quite developed that dimension yet, despite hitting hard off the ground. Most agree she's a top 10 player in the making if she improves her first serve's power and placement while adding more spin to her second serve. Stamina also needs work, though her ability to win that 2-hour 40-minute battle against Vekic suggests she's made progress in that area. The realistic prediction for Eala in 2026 is a climb into the top 30, maybe top 20 if everything breaks right. Former American tennis pro Nick Monroe went further, predicting she'll crack the top 10 this year after watching her fight through tears and injury at the ASB Classic semifinals. That might be aggressive, but Monroe saw something in her warrior spirit that suggests she has the intangibles, the refusal to quit, the ability to fight through pain, the mental toughness to win tight matches that separate good players from great ones. Champions aren't just built through talent, but through moments like her semifinal loss to Wang, where she fought back from 1-5 down in the first set, earned match point in the second, and continued competing in the third, despite a back injury that left her crying on court. The Australian Open represents more than just another tournament for Alex Eala. It's validation that her ranking is real, that she belongs among the world's best,